Hello, I'm Dena Lee. Today we're going to look at building capacity first within ourselves and then within others. So what is building capacity? Building capacity simply is the simple interactions between two people, according to Joyner. Other ways of looking at it is ability to learn, get along, improve within a structure. Building capacity to me means being a lifelong learner, questioning, showing vulnerability, understanding where myself and staff are coming from. The risk to capacity is being vulnerable and not being able to locate answers and not being able to say I don't have all the answers. For school and staff, building capacity is building personal, collective, and organizational growth through shared equity, leadership, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And notice I didn't identify it as individual or team, because an individual or team implies a silo aspect, and that's what you want to get away from when you're building capacity. So when you look at building capacity with leadership development, for myself, I look at reflection again as where I am in the levels of development model, and I identify myself as an expert, achiever, and a catalyst. I say that I'm an expert as in I stand out in the work that I do and I have a lot of knowledge base for things. I am an achiever in my schoolwork, that I want to do things and get things done and have things correct and spend a lot of time with that input. And as a catalyst, I'm learning new perspectives and ideas throughout this leadership process to take back to the start of the new school year. And what I want to do is provide inspiring and motivation for staff to do better, not only for myself, but for them and the students that we work with. And in the school, we want to move from personal to collective to organizational in reflection and change. And again, note that, we didn't use individual or team approach for those, because we want to make sure that leadership is personal and collective, because it takes a group in some situations and settings. When you look at building capacity and reflection, for myself, if I as a leader can't take or seek perspectives of others, well, how can I be an effective leader or coach with others? It is very important to be reflective in the communication or feedback that I get and what is given. I also need to participate in professional development to work on receiving that information and giving and sharing feedback, as well as areas that I am not as comfortable in leading where we have other experts in the building. As a school, we create conditions to engage in continuous improvement by providing PLCs and professional developments. It's important that we create a safe space for change, that a teacher is able to reflect, or staff member is able to reflect on the things that are going on that they are doing, and be able to admit that they didn't do something as effective as what they thought they did, or that the implementation process didn't work as well as what they had hoped or shared it would be in the beginning. The other part is we need to have a growth mindset as staff and in individuals within the building, students as well. We need to know that where we are is not exactly where we want to be. We can have that continued improvement. When you look at building capacity and cultural responsiveness in myself, you want to look at diversity, equity, and inclusion. As a school social worker, I currently am working with diversity and equity and inclusion of the special education students, the diversity and equity in the different ethnicities within the building and the languages spoken, and also with where families come from socioeconomically and where they come from within the city. I need to take a step back and think about things and look at the reflection of what my views and how those impact everything that I see. And then also be able to reflect and share stories with staff about learning and how interactions with families or staff. For example, we have a staff member who consistently invited us to her personal family events for both herself and her daughter, and she's of Hispanic origin. And after going through the Spanish class that's offered for our adult learners, we learned that when a Hispanic person invites you to their function, they see you as a part of their family, as an extension of their family tree. And it is really looked down upon if you don't go. So I had to apologize to the staff member for not taking that as a true reflection of her wanting us at the event versus she was just nice, including all the staff members. Within the School for Professional Learning Communities, but you need to, again, look at that diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you can also use your staff to help share and teach about that because everybody has or is at a different level, and we have experts within our building that are part of our diversity and equity team, and they are able to share information on how we can deal with things with students and help support or be a liaison between the two. When you look at digital literacy and building capacity, as a prospective building leader, you have to share data honestly. Where a school is at academically isn't always the best in the best light. They could be lower level learners, or you could have a problem with discipline in your building, and you need to look at how you do things differently. And by sharing that data honestly, you're able to look at it and make the changes that need to be imposed. You also need to develop a support network as a building leader to have safe people to bounce ideas off of and find out what other school leaders are doing in areas that can help with your digital learning. How are you teaching your teachers to move from Google Docs to Microsoft Teams, as our school has had to do? Then for a school, you look at the professional learning for new technology. How do we teach the teachers to use the technology that we want the students to learn? For example, ChatGPT. What are we doing to teach the teachers to identify markers of an assignment that's been turned in utilizing ChatGPT? Those kind of things. When you look at building capacity and school improvement and school success, for myself, I want to know where I am in the learning business maturity model. Stage 1 is static, meaning that the leadership has no vision or accountability, and their strategy is just poorly articulated, and they have a lack of resources, and it's the we've always done it this way kind of model. Reactive leadership looks at, they have a vision, but it's not there's not widespread buy-in or accountability, and the staff aren't able to identify what that vision is. The capacity of the building, the resources are adequate for the current needs, but they're insufficient for growth. When you want capacity within a building, there's always room for improvement. You want to move to that with window in the upper right. So then you look at stage 3, which is proactive, where the vision is embraced by a cross function of your staff or team at the building, but not everybody has shared within it, and the resources that you have are adequate and emerging, but you still need a little bit of investment with your staff to get those joiners that haven't joined in yet. And then where you want to be is in innovative stage 4, where that vision is shared by everybody within the organization, and you have enough resources to meet the needs and support of your staff and students, and the processes are well defined and people understand where you are, and there's a clear understanding of the needs and the learning consistently, so you know where you need to be. When you look at ethical digital technology for schools, you have to look at the changing nature of learners. Students are changing at all times. There's an increasing use of technology and the growth of e-learning and how that has impacted the classroom. And teachers are digital immigrants while students are digital natives. Our teachers they were born and went through the age of handwriting, mimeograph copies, and then you move into some email use and some word processing. And our students, they have never been around without Google. And so that's a big digital divide, and we need to make sure that our staff can be able to teach to those. How do you look at building capacity and leadership? And myself, I want to encompass all the things that were spoke about and pointed out throughout this PowerPoint. And then I want to learn from principals and colleagues to create that mentorship for myself. And I always seek feedback. I need to have that feedback to have that personal growth. And in a school, you want that shared equity leadership. You want to be able to create collective groups of individual to continue to lead the building and follow the mission and vision that we have. So the correlation is how I look at this and how this impacted my learning was reflectively examining where I am as a leader, what skills are needed to create and develop a resilient school community. The relevance to this and my learning is there's many more pieces to capacity other than relationship building. And reflection is, as a leader, I will incorporate a pool of diverse educators to help influence and change the learning community. I will seek information from stakeholders to see what capacity is currently in a new building. And then within a year, there will be minimal growth to that because you're developing trust and change models. It takes time. Our research showed that it took a 3 to 4 year process to develop some information within their school. So, thank you.